Hello, I'm on another walk. Today I'm in East Sussex and I'm on a bridge crossing the River Cuckmere in the Cuckmere Valley. Where am I going? I'm going to Alfriston. It's a bit windy today, but that's not going to deter the bold explorer. I'm going to start here. Where am I? I'm in the Tye. What's the Tye? The Tye is kind of the village green, and behind me here is St Andrews, and the sun has just decided to come out at that precise moment, which is a little irritating because it glares in the camera. But I want you to see this rather magnificent church. It has Saxon origins, but it's probably these days best known for the 14th century cross formation that it has, built of wonderful flint and sandstone, beautifully knapped, the flint. It's beautifully knapped with a spire with shingles on the top. But because this is a rather swift walk around Alfriston down on the East Sussex towards the coast on the Cuckmere River, I wanted to take you here. This is what they call Alfriston's clergy house. It's a typical Wealden Hall type of house made of oak, and let's have a look a little bit closer if I can. And although it's called a priest house, it was originally a yeoman's house, a farmer, quite a rich farmer I should think, to afford such a wonderful building such as this with the thatch and then the copious amounts of oak. It's owned by the National Trust, and originally it was the first of the National Trust properties they ever bought back in 1896. They paid £10 for it, and I think not long after they had to spend about £300 on renovating it. St Andrews is also known as the Cathedral of the South Downs. It sits on a mound, surrounded by its flint wall here on the village green, the Tye. And as I said before, it has Saxon origins and then has been built up from the 14th century. Beside it, looking onto the green, are some rather outstanding buildings. You've got behind me here the coach house, great big flint and rubble and brick building, and many others. We're going to explore some of those. And here, of course, the sign. Now, a place like Alfriston, which is old and dates back to the Domesday Book and all of those things, you wouldn't expect to find, well, something like this. That's a Second World War German mine, which came loose, I believe, and floated up the Cuckmere River, and well, it could have gone off if somebody had banged into it, but it was made safe by the Navy, fortunately. But it's here, and it's a reminder that even the old and wonderful can be destroyed so easily by violence. Let's take a trip up to the High Street and see some more of the wonders. One of the biggest drawbacks that Alfriston has is the road, the High Street that runs through it. It's a very narrow road that once would have had horses, ponies, cattle, livestock trundling through, but now, thanks to modernisation, it has lorries, cars and all sorts, especially in the height of the summer. Now, let's have a little look in here. Let's sneak into this little house here, because this is a gallery, and the owner at the back there very kindly said I could just pop in and do a bit of filming, because I wanted to show you some of the ancient beams that a lot of the houses in Alfriston have. For example, here, if I just come over here, this is a beam suspected to come from a galleon, and it's in an inglenook fireplace. Of course, it's full of wonderful art, naturally at the moment. And then above, on the ceiling, you can see some of the ancient timbers that run across. Of course, built around about the 14th century, something like that, which is typical of many of the buildings here. It has a different frontage because the Georgians were a little upset with the old look of things. They wanted to be fashionable, and so they changed the frontage of many of their buildings and turned them into what looks like a more up-to-date Georgian type of building. I'm going to stroll along a little bit further and try and avoid the traffic. You'll see behind me here the George Inn, another ancient building. But here, one of the older buildings in Alfriston is the Star Inn. It's got its Horsham stone roof, it's got some hung tiles, and of course it's got the timber framing. Let's just come over here and have a look at it. Originally, it was a hostel for pilgrims and monks on their way from Battle Abbey to Chichester. They were visiting the shrine of St Richard, the patron saint of Sussex, at the cathedral in Chichester. And what is interesting about this, just duck in here before this great big lorry comes along, is here, behind me, is this rather unusual figurehead. Hang on, I'll let this lorry go. This is unfortunately happening quite a lot with these busy lorries trundling through this tiny old village. This rather peculiar, fierce lion, I read, came from a Dutch ship that was wrecked at Cookmere Haven, not far from here. But the Star Inn says that it's possibly a red lion figurehead that comes from a warship sunk at the Battle of Beachy Head in 1690. So there's always, with these things that are old, a little bit of controversy. Let's press on down into the market square. Just coming into the market square, it's hard to believe in this tiny little square there would have been all the livestock, the cattle and the farmers all gathering up. They've had a market here since 1406, and we know that because Alfriston is very lucky to have a market cross. That's unique actually in East Sussex. I don't think there is any other market cross in East Sussex. There's another one in West Sussex at Chichester, which is a lot more elaborate, but this poor old market cross, I come round here, it's had a bit of a bang in 1955. Coming through here, as you can well believe, a lorry bashed into it. It had to be rebuilt, but there wasn't a lot of it left, so not all of it is from that original time in 1406. If we progress a little further, we'll come to another ancient institution here in the market cross, and that is the old Smugglers Inn, although actually it was originally the Market Cross Inn. A chap called Stanton Collins, he lived here with his parents, and he got involved with the Alfriston gang, a gang of smugglers, and he became the leader, in fact. I'm told that there are 21 rooms, 48 doors, 6 staircases, and numerous hiding places, as well as different exits in and out, so that if the excise men or the customs men came along, any of the smugglers could escape rapidly. I'm going to leave the smuggling behind now and make my way back towards my car, but there's one more thing I wanted to point out to you, a little anomaly which is quite fun. Just making my way down this sort of almost backwater. I just want to show you this as well, actually, whilst we pass. Here is an interesting sign. Look at this. And this sign here, it says owlers. Owlers was a term for smugglers, particularly on the south coast, because when the coast was clear, they could make the noise of an owl. Woo, woo. It was a signal for the smugglers to communicate with each other in the dark as they made their way down to Cookmere Haven in the night, getting their booty on board and bringing up the contraband. Down there was an occasion when 200 to 300 men were working down on the coast, bringing in their illicit cargo. Now, I'm just going up to the short stay car park, which you might find is a bit strange, because as I say, there is one more thing that I want to show you. And here it is. It's a strange anomaly, a conical shaped building, all on its own. Now, if you read Wikipedia, it'll tell you it's a lock-up, which it may well be something that it was used as. But if you read the sign, they say it was made as a playhouse. Let's have a little look at it. So there were lock-ups all around the country and villages before there were police stations. If you were a drunk or if you had a miscreant in your village who was causing you trouble, you needed somewhere to bung them, and an overnight stay in something like this might sober them up. However, if we come over a little bit closer and examine it, it says it's called the Flint Tower, built in the early 20th century as a playhouse. And it also goes on to say that there was a windmill here, and perhaps this was built from the remnants of the windmill. And actually, I'm more inclined to believe that, because if you look at the render itself, the render doesn't look as old as it would be if it was a genuine lock-up from, I don't know, the 18th century, something like that. But it has a door, it has your flint and brick, and on the top it has a flat roof with slate. So who knows? Luckily, I'm not being locked up in there. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed my whistle-stop tour of Alfriston in East Sussex. Do check it out, it's a lovely place, but come perhaps off-season when there's not so many cars and lorries. But the car park's free, and that's a bonus. I'll see you on the next one. Don't forget to subscribe, give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, and if you've got a comment, I'd love to hear what you think of Alfriston or any of my videos. Till the next time, bye-bye.